as the players shuffled their plans, we can also shuffle our plans. Finish up that way. Hopefully Potter's all right with that too, and we'll just run with that because there's cards on the table.
There are. This is happening now. So it looks like throwing back that initial hand. So,
but Howie has kept 7, and Howie will be on the draw as he is the 6th seed, and Josh is the 4th seed. I love these 2 actual matches that we got to bring you for the finals. You mentioned that the top decks back and forth for the Burn Scam match were very interesting, and that has been exactly my experience in the matchup. It's just been extremely interesting gameplay in almost all of my matches that I've had, and I think we actually get a lot of the same things in the Burn Cascade match too, especially when it's actually Living End. I think the Burn deck ends up being extremely favored against the Footfalls deck. The Footfalls deck, the soonest that they can kill you is turn 5 every game. There's not really a way around that for the deck. Living End can actually kill you in 1 turn, which puts the pressure a little bit more on Burn to do their thing and make sure Howie dies before that happens.
Yeah. So I think I would like to think a little bit in Living End's favor, but I mean, still, like, you're not getting that big effect out of the Living End because you can obviously win the game with creatures, but you don't have to win the game with creatures. You can just battle in and deal 6 points with creatures and then finish up the game with Burn spells and Boros Charms off the top and skewer the critics, and suddenly you're down from 7 life to 0. So
exactly. So we see Josh happy with his 6-card hand. Starts with Wooded Foothills, and we'll see him venture into the deck for probably a mountain. Some sort of mountain.
Yeah. A forest is very unlikely here. I'm assuming it's going to be a Sacred Foundry unless you already have the white source here. It doesn't look like Josh does. But this opens up some things down the line if you need to, double Boros Charm or, Lightning Helix, something like that.
And the lands would be the one place where Burn has gotten an actual piece from Modern Horizons, because a Horizon land in your Burn deck is very important, and I feel like is a large part of why it's kept up in the post-Modern Horizons metagame.
Yeah, without getting anything super crazy, I think it's a very subtle addition. You did not get a 2/2 with Delve that just double strike or something crazy like that, but you do get some really nice support pieces. I think the core of the deck is already so strong you don't need to do too much more.
So we see Howie just play a land with his first turn, go back to Josh's turn, and then Josh played an Arid Mesa, cast a Goblin Guide, and we see Howie pitch a Brazen Borrower to a Subtlety.
Which is a very aggressive play, but I mean, once again, if you're Howie, your plan is just to survive. You do not need to worry about the number of cards you have. You just need to make sure that you don't die. And, having that as your kind of tempo play, I think is perfectly fine here. Especially considering there's not a lot of creatures they're expecting out of the Burn deck that you really care about. Like, who really cares about Eidolon of Rhetoric? You want to keep off the big things here.
Just make sure that the creatures don't deal more, like 4 damage is kind of the line that they're worth a card. And if you can keep them from dealing less than that, then you'll probably be favored in the game.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that pitch casting for the Subtlety does set up Living End. It is a creature.
It is a creature.
So we see Josh fetch a mountain on Howie's end step, bolt Howie, and go to his turn where he draws and casts a Goblin Guide. Coming in, trigger. Reveals a Subtlety.
And I think if you're Howie, you're not upset to see Subtlety, not necessarily at least. Definitely, I think finding a Cascade spell probably be better, right? But I still think it's something that if there is a follow-up creature, being able to tempo that on top of the library as well is not bad. Mind you, there's only 12 creatures in the Burn deck currently, the 4 Swift Spears, the 4 Goblin Guides, and the 4 copies of Eidolon of Rhetoric. So there's a good chance that it's not going to have a target until, 3 or 4 turns down the road if we ever see one.
Yeah. I would like to say that in the magic color of red, we don't actually have a lot of rhetoric. We have a great revel.
Oh my god. That is true. That is true. Oh my gosh.
So we saw how he fetch a tapped Shockland in his opponent's end step and then go to his turn.
Yeah. 3 mana is kind of the magic number here. We're going to end up seeing, it looks like the Cascade spell, which, I mean, there's really no better time for it. I mean, you're not, like you said, there's not a lot of creatures, so you're not going to get a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1. You're not going to be able to fog with combat with a sorcery speed creature, right? So you just cast it now, get your advantage, and move on.
Absolutely. And the subtlety and the curator mysteries there should be coming back. Howie's battlefield, or not Howie, Josh's battlefield won't actually change here, but or no, never mind. The Goblin Guy that was answered went back to the top of the library.
Top, yeah.
Yep. I'm used to things getting answered and going to the graveyard.
No, I mean, and for better or worse, I mean, like, memory lapse is perfectly fine in out of this deck. You just want to, it's a control deck at its heart, I feel like, and I think it gets us better up of being just a degenerate combo deck because you're doing things with graveyard, recycling, but you really just want to extend this game out as long as possible so you can take over with this kind of card advantage you're seeing here. This Eidolon coming down, literally, it's probably not going to trigger one single time at the rest of the game. So this is kind of a great position for Howie.
Yeah. I think Howie should be at like 15 because a Lightning Bolt has resolved, but that's still plenty of life total to play through this the Eidolon and the Great Revel.
Yeah, I definitely should be fine. If you're, add to the board here, once again, more than likely than not, it's going to be something that costs 4 mana. I could imagine casting a Violent Outburst to deal an extra 3 points of damage at the end here, but I think at this point you're kind of driving home pretty quickly if you're Howie.
Oh yeah. So we see Howie get, I believe, an island, present the cut, and see what he wants to do with his mana here.
Yeah, it looks like an APAC island, but I can't figure out which one.
So those are the most jarring lands in the world. Those are the Post Malone lands.
No. No.
So they are an old Magic card.
Okay.
That then has doodles from Post Malone all over it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's disappointing.
The artist credit at the bottom is the artist and Post Malone.
That's not fair. I feel like one person put a lot more effort into that land than the other person. But you know what? Let's share credit. We'll share the byline. Why not?
Yeah. Which contribution made Wizards more money, though?
Yeah, that's true.
For those who can't see it, I hope you can hear Billy's eye roll when I ask that question. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've had people ask if we're gonna do like video coverage of the Dark Depths just so they can see the exhausted smiles and groans and whatnot of Mapson and I. And
yeah,
eventually it's gonna happen. But
awesome.
Not for a while. I gotta wait till my kids are a little older. But
got it.
Yep, it's an eye roll.
So you see how we connect for 9, and there was a Lightning Helix that resolved. Howie ended up at 7, but yep, Josh did not have it there, and Howie picks up game 1.
Yeah, you're gonna need to be like bolt spike there, and probably not gonna happen. And honestly, I'm not surprised by this at all. I think this is kind of what happens in this matchup. If you cannot connect with those creatures enough, you just can get tempoed out of the game, and it's like you said, it closes the game so quickly here that you don't need to wait around like with footfalls where your 4/4 rhinos might be able to get in, might not be able to get in, maybe one has to stay back on defense. You have huge bodies that are just taking up the battlefield and can close out the game in 1 attack or 2 attacks. It's a lot easier to win a game like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So looking at sideboarding here, let's look at the burn deck, because Josh is down a game, will be on the play. I love, of course, Roiling Vortex, doming my opponent for 5 when they go to cast their Cascade spell. I think that sounds pretty good, but I don't see any dedicated graveyard hate. I talked with Potter earlier about not really being interested in Sanctifier and Vec, especially Howie doesn't have any griefs, Stretch didn't see any griefs, so we're not really even exiling that many cards that would come back.
Yeah, I mean, Sanctifier and Vec is very good when you, I guess, not even very good. I mean, like, it hits the grief, it hits the street wraith, but even historically, there's not much past that. Architect of Will is the only other one that would potentially hit. So, unless you're seeing all of those cards, which I don't think we have any of them actually in this deck, in the main deck here, you shouldn't be boarding in. Maybe you want to do Deflecting Palm, maybe you hit like a whale or something like that. That's a huge game, but it's kind of hard to set up. So maybe not. I'm not sure about that. But definitely the Whirling Vortex here. That seems like a slam dunk for the deck that's going to very easily cast a spell for 0 mana, either the Living End, the namesake card, or potentially the a Subtlety or a Grief or something like that, potentially. Endurance also a possibility. What was the card Howie revealed?
I believe those were the Post Malone basics.
Oh, come on! You mock me with your Post Malone! Thought we were friends, Howie. All right.
Amazing.
I know how it is. Know who I'm rooting for now. Should we talk about the other deck list here?
Yeah. So Howie, I love the Dead Gons, obviously.
Yes.
Just wanna like you said, if we can make sure that the creatures don't connect for 4 points of damage, then the rest of the cards probably won't close it out. So bring in Dead Gon, kill the early creatures. How do you feel about maybe more flash creatures?
I don't mind them. I mean, honestly, being able to block consistently with endurance does seem kind of appealing. So I can imagine that coming in. Obviously, shuffling up in the graveyard doesn't really do anything, so that effect kind of gets lost on you. But you do have the ability to shuffle in your own graveyard if it comes down to that, if you end up losing all your Living End or something like that. But I think blocking is kind of your main thing there. I think I would focus just on the Dead Gons here. It may be the Subtleties as well. I could also imagine the Brazen Bar just to once again kind of temper the game out, but there aren't really that many targets. Just 12 creatures. I'm not really even sure if you care about bouncing their Eidolon the Great Revel, so I'm leaning just towards the Dead Gons here.
Awesome. We'll see what Howie thinks, and I think it's really on Josh to make sure that he wins this game on the play. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's down a game, but these are the games where Burn would be slightly favored, and gotta win those.
Yeah, and if you're Burn, obviously you're on the back foot. I mean, if you're in the spot at this point, right, they're already up the $400 store credit at the very least.
True. And their invite already in the bag.
So you're really just playing for an extra $400. What does $400 get you? Well, it depends. If you're going to alcentralgames.com, you can probably get a decent amount of stuff, especially if you combine that with a 10% off using the code ALRCQ0128, that's today's date, for 10% off. Maybe you want to use that to go get pre-orders from Phyrexia All Will Be One, either the seal product or the singles from the new set that are going to be coming out available for pre-order. Or maybe you just want to go to get cards for the Legacy event coming up. There's one on February 11th, the Legacy 5K. $100 if you would like to register before Wednesday, February 8th, at $125 after, but it's a 5K. It sold out last time. It's probably going to sell out again. Or maybe you saw this event, you're like, you know what? I need to pick up my last card for my Living End or my Red-Black Scam or my Burn. And maybe you're going to use that for the that 10% off to get cards for your event on March 11th here. Another modern RCQ, another 2K, another 2 slaughter. I don't know. A lot of things you could do with $400.
Amazing. Wow. And you know, you can play in that Legacy 5K whether you're qualified for Dallas or come spend the day with us. And if you missed any of the rounds today, definitely check out our YouTube, Al Central Games, and catch our rounds. Ooh. We got our game started here, and Josh casts a Goblin Guide, and Howie wants to make sure his opponent knows that Goblin Guide is on the stack.
We see a subtlety there. I mean, and this is kind of what you're hoping for if you're Howie, right? You want to slow this game down, and subtlety is one way to do that.
Josh does not want to draw that Goblin Guide again. Goes to the bottom of the deck. Over to Howie.
So you imagine Josh probably has a backup creature or something else, maybe a Swiss Spear, maybe the second Goblin Guide. Looks like a second Goblin Guide in hand, so you definitely don't need duplicates there. I'm not even sure if it's necessarily bad. I don't think actually having 4 power for the second turn is terrible, but I think Josh has other plans.
Yeah. I think we, like, while it might not be bad to attack with 2 Goblin Guides right now, that might not be the card we want to draw if we're planning to win the game in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that Living End is going to be coming at some point in this game. Maybe you just want something that is a more reliable source of damage.
Yep. And we pay the life to suspend the Rift Bolt. Send it back over to Howie. Howie's fetching. End step.
And like Sun Big Canyon in this matchup is just actually really nice because okay, thanks Howie. Getting the island, that's good.
Wait, no, it's not the post basic.
What is
he
it?
replaced it. He got a land from the draft box.
Oh gosh.
That's what he was showing us.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So that's good. I'm glad we replaced it. I mean, better. Once again, I like sunflowers. I hate the post Malone basic. So we at least we leveled up in some way. How he's winning multiple fronts.
Oh my gosh. How he cycled a Curator of Mysteries and then moved to his turn.
And I think for Josh, you're kind of happy to see this. I mean, cycling, especially if we're doing this during the main phase, sign a weakness, right? And playing a tap land means there's not another cycling card, at least the one that costs mana.
Right.
So I think Josh has to like his position here.
And one thing to mention is that Howie might have really wanted to bring in more cards than just the Dead Gone because we really want Street Wraith out of our deck, right?
Yeah, the Street Wraith is definitely one of the... okay. Street Wraith is definitely a card you don't want to be paying into. Similar things like, Dash Shadow, for example, doesn't like Thoughtseize in that matchup. You want to get rid of those cards.
And that's a Roiling Vortex from Josh.
Which is a huge play. I mean, once again, if you're going to win the game as Howie, you're going to have to pay 5 life to do that. So you need to get that off the board.
There's a Foundation Breaker.
That is one way to get off the board.
Mm-hmm. And we did pay mana for it. It was not like pitch cast or anything, so does not trigger the Roiling Vortex.
So even if good thing we have that island to the front now. At the very least, too, it does kind of serve as a time walk, though, right? Instead of being able to cast my Living End, I had to deal with it first. That buys an extra turn for Josh. Both on source of this 2 damage from giving it flying. That's good. So another 2 damage for Howie, as well as being able to get another draw for Josh. Like, even if it gets destroyed, I think time walking is in your favor if you're Josh here.
Absolutely. So we see Howie reveal Curator to the Goblin Guide trigger, and then take 2 and go to 6. Lava Spike from Josh. And there's the Lightning Bolt. Got a force. Not a force. So we get a game 3.
Game 3, I'm excited. Yeah, and that was kind of... And once again, it didn't have the effect you kind of hope for if you're Josh, but it did exactly what you hope for as a failsafe, right? The Whirling Vortex still served as an extra way to get through damage and bought a lot of time, allowed the burn spells to actually clean up the game. And the second Goblin Guide maybe would have been actually pretty good here, based on how the texture of the game actually unwrapped, but didn't need it.
Yep. And maybe didn't have the Roiling Vortex in his opener and drew it off the top, which means that it was definitely correct to put the Goblin Guide on the bottom. Come on, Howie. What is this back? What is this back and forth? He lost. He lost, so now he's got to put the post basics back in his deck.
Sure.
Because that's how he was winning all day.
Yeah, literally Post Malone, the magic of post. Yep, that's really the difference, Howie. The difference between you winning and losing was Post Malone. The secret's been inside you all along. Post. Good.
Howie, do you, okay, I'm not gonna be able to like reference the tweet to do it justice, but Brian Gottlieb has like a legendary like pro tour of Post Malone tweet, all posts, post.
Sure.
Now we know who the victor is.
Yes.
It's Howard Brosnan. Whenever the Pro Tour post is in like 2035, you know, Howard's gonna win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Already ready, already queued, actually. The invite list is currently one person, it's Howard Brosnan. So congrats, Howard, on your qualification for the 2026 Pro Tour. Post Malone, Post Malone, Post Pro Tour, Post Malone, sponsored by Post Malone.
Amazing.
Jeez.
Amazing.
All right.
Do you think Post will play at that Pro Tour?
I actually don't think so.
Okay.
I think he'll probably be in the booth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe one of us will have the pleasure of being with Post in the booth.
Maybe. Honestly, I had this weird circumstance where I could have actually met Post Malone.
Okay.
I didn't take advantage of it because I'm an idiot.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that there was that Whatnot event, whatever, a couple months ago at this point, or WhatsApp, or I don't know what it was. The thing where you raffle off prizes.
Okay. Yeah.
He did an event where he played versus somebody for like $500,000 or something like that. The person who got chosen to play in that is friends with one of my friends from college.
Okay.
So they're like, "Oh, we're going." Like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, maybe I should go." I was like, "You can go if you want. I can hook it up. You can make sure you get an interview." And I was like, "Maybe I should go.
Yeah.
That'd be cool." I'm like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go to LA to watch someone play Magic." They're like playing like with Commander or something like that. Like, you don't want to play watch 1v1 Commander. That seems awful for a flight out to LA. So
that's why you're getting into Commander, so that the next time that opportunity comes up, you actually want to do it.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
I mean, okay, so you get me with Post Malone and like the game night, I'm interested. You get me with Joe Johnson and Post Malone and Rachel Weeks. I don't know. That seems sweet.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not trying to watch Post Malone and just play 1v1.
Understood. You got to be part of the game.
You got to be part of the game.
Yeah.
It's like soccer. Awful game if you're not playing it. But understandable and acceptable if you are. So I feel like I've offended so many people in 30 minutes, but here we go.
Shuffling up, drawing hands for game 3. 7 cards.
And I think noticeably in the last game, having Boros Goblin Guide on turn 1, on turn 1 and turn 2, right, was huge. Oh, that seems like a keeper. So that was a huge advantage for Josh. I feel like if we're going to go down on resources, this does favor Howie. You don't need to have that critical mass of burn spells in your hand. Well, Josh won't, at least. You don't have to have the critical mass of cascade spells. You only need 1.
Yep.
You don't need a bunch of lands because you're going to be able to cycle into them. So honestly, keeping a hand that's like 2 cyclers, maybe 1 cascade spell and 3 lands actually works perfectly fine if you're Howie. So I think Josh is in a bit of an advantage here.
Or Howie.
Howie.
Yeah. The living end deck.
The living end.
Mm-hmm.
The Post Malone deck. The one I think has a good advantage here.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to watch Howie's ego swell when I share with him the joke that we just made that he's going to be a future Pro Tour champion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and it sounds silly too, but like the number of players I've seen at the PPTQ level, the RCQ level, that a year, 2 years from now, I'm like, oh, I remember them. Like the people like Ethan Gajewski I've seen before. He actually played at my local store for a while, and then eventually he moves to Japan, comes back, and he's silver fighting for gold. And it's really these small events. It's things like this that get you to the next level. And honestly, playing with tough competition, playing with people that you don't expect to normally play with, that jump you up from a casual, I'll say PBTU end boss to someone who actually can fight for those wins in the Pro Tour. It's a very small amount. So, this, I could imagine maybe Howard, maybe Josh, maybe they are playing for a Pro Tour in a year or two.
Absolutely. So Howard started with a Scalding Tarn and passed it over to Josh, and Josh just had an Arid Mesa and passes it back.
Yeah, if you're Josh, you really do need a one drop here. Not having a one drop, I'm not sure exactly what your hand is, but I'm assuming it's some combination of Lightning Bolt, which it's fine, obviously, right? And it's gonna hopefully get you close to ending this game, but that might take a while. So I think that's no turn one spell creature, at least for Josh, is a win for Howard.
Absolutely. Yeah. Howie gets to get a tapped Chalkland and go to his turn.
Yeah, and without the pressure of a creature, there really is no incentive to shock if you don't have to. So being able to get that land untapped here is really nice as well.
Howie just has a Misty Rainforest and passing it back to Josh. Looks like Josh is thinking before maybe taking an action or going to his turn.
Yeah, I'm expecting Howard's turn is really just going to be fetch from my Post Malone Island and cycle 2 cards here. So if you are Josh, you need to start doing something proactive. Ideally, not an Eidolon of Rhetoric, because, like we mentioned before, it doesn't have a lot of viable targets. You do get 4 damage if you end up cycling or going through a Cascade spell, right? But I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're hoping for.
Looks like Josh did have a Lightning Bolt for Howie in his end step, and then gets to draw a card for turn. Plays Sunbaked Canyon, says go. Howie gets to fetch 2.
It's funny how, like, having no play for turn 1, I think is kind of, I don't want to say like a death knell, but not a good sign. Not having a spell for turn 2, I think, is actually fine, right? Like, if you have the creature, okay, here we go. That's a Post Malone land. Okay. Anyways, if you have a Boros Charm or a Lightning Helix, I think on turn 2, I think that's an acceptable alternative to playing a creature. But
looks like Howie got the basics so that he could have mana to quote cycle his Waker of Waves. Do a little pondering.
And it looks like there's a Firewolf Canal on hand, so getting the 4th thing makes a little bit more sense too. Especially if you don't need access to the second blue source, or there's really no need for a second red source necessarily, but not having to shock for green mana, I think, is huge.
Oh yeah. I've definitely seen this match come down to how many fast lands the Living End player draws. Looks like Howie does have a Chartless Agent. And we're cascading. I'm thinking we're gonna hit Living End.
Possibly. I've seen Flusterstorm be hit off of this before.
Okay.
Yeah, not good. Not what you want to be doing, but I have seen it.
That's the Living End.
And notably, there's not a lot of creatures in the graveyard here, but I don't think you need a lot, right? Like, Josh is already at 17 life. Has 2 lands, which, maybe you do have double Lightning Bolt and the other cards in hand are enough pressure to end this game, but, you actually might be able to just win this game with the Whale and the Chartless Agent.
Absolutely. Especially because it's Whale, and any creature that Josh plays off the top, like Goblin Guides, attack for 1, and Swift Spears ask you to cast another spell before they even deal damage. I imagine some number of the creatures are back in Josh's sideboard.
Yeah, I think, once again, I think there's not a lot of incentive to have Eidolon of the Great Revel in your deck. I think Goblin Guide's fine. I don't think it's ever really that bad, but I think Swift Spear is kind of awkward, that you're asking to have it into play, cast a bunch of spells, and then not get got by Living End. I think it's just a big liability here. I think I'd rather just have, I honestly think I'd rather just have the Roiling Vortex or the Deflecting Palm, if that's what I'm interested in doing.
Ooh. Get a nice draw off a Deflecting Palm. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, if the game is going to come down to a situation like this where you're just racing for mana, and trying to get into those last points, a Whale attacking them instead of attacking you might be that extra turn you want. Oh man.
Yeah, it does look like Josh suspended a Rift Bolt. But I think, yeah, our internet's just being a little laggy, and we are having trouble seeing the a Rift Bolt to the face.
Mm-hmm.
So just paid 3 mana for it.
Yeah, which I mean, 9 to 7. That's definitely something. I mean, the whale, I think, is going to be able to close out the game pretty effectively here, though, along with the Shardless Agent. But you gotta hope that you've got something if you're Josh here. I mean, I guess you're going to. Looks like we're untapping. Josh is fetching.
Okay.
Is there a deflecting palm?
Nice, nice. Palm Whale. Okay. So then Josh would go to...
Oh, it looks like there's a force of
Mm-hmm.
negation. So, I mean, that palm would have been huge, and it looks like the game's over.
Got it. So Josh scooped it up on the force of negation because Howie's connecting for lethal. Josh was hoping to have deflecting palm be the game, but
Yeah.
Howie got it.